Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about university, college, and do I think it's a good move? I'm 25. I went to school. I dropped out after 2 years, and I've created a lot of success, a lot of money, a lot of freedom. I live here in a penthouse in Colombia, and I've officially, in a lot of ways, fucked off. I've done the opposite of what the system has told me to do, and it's gotten me freedom to make this video at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, or really do whatever I want to do. So, do I think that school is a good move? If you want to be an entrepreneur, absolutely not. If you want to be a doctor, an attorney, an accountant, go for it. Obviously you need that. But the university, whether it's private or public, is matrix programming. 100% matrix. Because they're not going to give you the tools that you need in the real world. I've gone to Columbia Business School, but it's not the one in New York. The Columbia Business School is doing it yourself, making your own company. And when I say Columbian Business School, it's because I've made a company here in Columbia. And being an immigrant is a challenge in and of itself, international man challenge of itself. But in Colombia, things run a little bit differently, so I learned a lot of lessons that I'll share in a future video. But I would not suggest school, and I know that when I had the idea of leaving school and ended up leaving, I got hell given to me from everyone in my immediate circle. All of my friends, all of my family, they all told me that I need to stay in school because I'm not going to get a good job. And maybe they were right. They were right. I probably wouldn't get a good job if I applied now. The only job I would ever do is sales, but even then I've already been there, done that, and I'd rather sell my own stuff. So yeah, I probably wouldn't get a good job, but for me, a job isn't freedom. It's not what I desire. And the day that I went to university, they had orientation. And at the orientation, they gathered around the crowd and they said, our graduates, they're going to make $40,000 a year. They're going to make $50,000 a year. And the crowd went wild, and I was just sitting there in my seat, looking to my left, looking to my right. Are these people really getting excited? They're going to go through 4 years, rack up all this debt so they could go do that. In America, you can't live on that in America. And then they said 60, 70,000, and the crowd was just going berserk. And I knew it wasn't for me. And the only reason why I went to school was because I was playing baseball, and that was my dream at the time. But literally day one in school, I was researching, do entrepreneurs need to go to college? And then I saw all the entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all these people that dropped out of school. And Steve Jobs walked around barefoot, by the way, so there's some genius in that if you're walking around barefoot. School isn't going to teach you the grit that you need. It's going to give you information, but it's not going to be information that's going to help you. It's just going to take up storage in your brain. The best thing that you could do if you're wanting to be having a free life for yourself and you're wanting to have income of unlimited amounts, then you need to become very valuable. Number one, you need to have skills, sales, marketing, persuasion. And then if you have a specialized skill or you want to develop a specialized skill, then go for it. You could sell that skill. But you want to get to the point where you're eventually doing something beyond yourself and you have a system that's producing results. And you want to become your own professor. When I was in school, I've always naturally been a very good speaker. And I had a public speaking class. The only good thing in that class is I had this hot chick next to me that I used to go out with sometimes. And but day one of the class, I asked the teacher, the professor, what experience do you have with public speaking? And she said, I spoke at a wedding once. And then I remember I had all my speeches throughout the semester. And I ended up getting a B in the class. Because every single speech, even though I spoke impeccably, by far the best speech in the class, I never researched the subject hardly, maybe just a little bit for my key points. And I never used note cards, I never looked at anything, I just let it rip. And I probably, most times, didn't rehearse the speech either. Now I get it, I have a special skill in that regard, but she gave me a B because I wasn't obedient. I didn't do what she told me to do, which was read off the script. And she wanted me to write out a whole script. Because doing things against the rules does not make a good employee. And universities are factories for employees. If you want to be an employee, it's a great place to go. You'll get a good job, but you're not going to be able to think for yourself. And this whole idea of getting out of the matrix and having freedom of your own thoughts, programming yourself to be your own beautiful creation. Why would you put yourself through 4 years of a government-funded entity? Do you really think they're looking out for your best good, or do you think that they're putting stuff in the curriculum that is going to be haltering your best good? It's going to squash your goals. It's going to tell you can't do it. It's going to tell you to be realistic, and then it's going to tell you to get a job of some small amount of money so that you forget your dreams, and then you clock in, clock out every day for the rest of your life, and you're never actually happy. And you're never actually stable, by the way, because you're one thing away from firing someone, or from getting fired. And then what do? Then you go find someone else to get an opportunity from them. But wouldn't it be better if you just created your own opportunities? I mean, to me, that's the most stable thing. I mean, it's not necessarily the easiest to have that frame of consciousness, create a system, create income for yourself. But it's not necessarily overly complicated. And if you put the same amount into yourself, of building yourself, of reading books, of business books, sales books, marketing, branding, industries, if you put in 4 years of self-education into the areas that you actually need, man, you'd be so much farther ahead. And I did that to an extent. I certainly did that the moment that I dropped out. I just was all in on my self-development, on learning business. And I did it part of the time while I was in school, but I mean, how could I? I was doing school, I was doing baseball, I hardly had any time to myself. So, school is like a hospital. It's funded by the government. It's not looking out for your best interest. The hospital wants you to be sick. It doesn't want you to actually heal. It doesn't want you to live a long life. So, you tell me, do you want to go listen to professors that don't have the results that you want? Look out in the parking lot. What type of cars are the professors driving? Do you want to have the same car? Okay, if you don't want the same car, then why are you listening to that person? I mean, this isn't just for school, but this goes for anything, is pick out very specifically who you're listening to. Do they have the results that you want? Because I know that for me, people have to have better results than me in order for me to listen. If I'm 190 pounds, 11% body fat, I'm going to listen to someone that's 210 pounds at 8% body fat when it comes to fitness. Or you could make this up in your mind of, okay, who is the person that I admire, and listen to that person. Or instead of spending however much it costs to go to university nowadays, why don't you put the same time in to finding a mentor? There was a site, it's probably still around. There was a site that I thought was pretty helpful called score.com. And on score.com, it could match you up with a mentor, old people that have really great experiences, that have free time, they're bored, and they want to help young people like you, hungry people like you that want to make something for themselves, that they want to become better. So you can go through score.com, look for mentors. There's probably other sites online. Or why don't you go hang out at the country club, at the golf course? Hang out where people are that have the results that you want. If If you go to a country club, you're probably going to find a lot of rich, retired entrepreneurs with multiple businesses, a lot of investment experience that would love to hang out with a young person that is really eager to learn. What if you go carry their golf clubs? What if you go to the nicest neighborhood and you knock on the doors and you ask them, what did they do for a living? How did they get this beautiful estate, this beautiful home that you want to get? Or you see someone with a nice car, why don't you go ask them? Like if you're 18, 19, 20, however like if you're young and you have that level of fortitude and desire and they see the grit, they will help you. Like I remember when I was a waiter for like 2 months, the only time I ever had a job, when I was 20. I was waiting tables, but there was a group that would come in the steakhouse. I worked at Fogo de Chao, by the way. There was a group that would always come in that would always be about business. They'd have their business meetings. And I'd always hope that they were my table, or if someone else, if one of my other waiters had their table, I'd say, hey, can we switch? And then I would literally like hover over their table, and I'd listen and try to understand anything I could. Now, a lot of their terms were beyond me at the time, but it came to the point where people started to ask me, like, dude, what are you doing working here? They saw I had the eye of the tiger. Like they told me this. They're like, you have the eye of the tiger. You're so hungry. And I could tell that you're really smart. You're really well put together. You're very ambitious. Why are you here? Well, I didn't really have a good answer at the time. That situation changed pretty quickly, but I believe that people do the best that they know how to do. And they could only do what they know how to do. If you're stuck at $100,000 a year, you would love to get to $1 million a year. You just don't know how. So what do? You go get around someone that has done it already. You know? People are doing the best that they know how to do if they're doing their best. But a lot of people aren't even doing their best. A lot of people are lazy as hell and they don't really do anything. But if you're doing your best is enough. Your best is enough. All you're missing is the right people around you. So you take your pick. Do you want to be around professors, people that don't have the results that you want? Or do you want to handpick the people that you want teaching you? Like you literally could pick your mentors. Pick your mentors. Get around good people. Read solid books. Watch videos on YouTube for free. Maybe if you really want, buy courses. Buy some cheap courses. Or if you have more money, invest more in your courses. And learn from people that you respect and you admire. Last thing is LinkedIn. I forgot to mention this. You can go on LinkedIn and you could look up retired executives, mentor, open to board advisory positions, open to board roles, and just find people with track records that you really respect and admire. And just tell them, like, hey, I have this goal. I really respect and admire what you've done. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to have a conversation so I could pick your brain and learn more, as I really would like to replicate a lot of results that you've had. Now again, if this person is in between golf games and they have really not a whole lot going on, they're not working anymore, they would love to talk to you. And what do you have to lose by asking? What do you have to lose by sending cold messages on LinkedIn? What do you have to lose by knocking on doors in the nicest neighborhood that you know? Or when you see someone with a nice car, ask them, how'd they get that car? What recommendations would you give me so I can get that car too? And if you do that and you read and you study, then you're going to be way better off. Not only financially, you're not going to have a bunch of debt and bills, but you're going to learn what you need to learn. You're going to do it so much more quickly. Because if you talk to these people, the people that you really admire, they could get you on a path within 6 months, a year, 2 years. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. But for me, college, university is not the right place. And the time that I spent there was way too much time. So that's my take. That's just me. I'll see you guys in the next video.